Hi there. So today what I want to talk about is sight words. The Foundations, the phonics program that we use also calls them trick words. And what sight words are basically the most commonly used words that we use in English. Okay, so words like the, a, I, okay? And these words, we don't want students to have to decode these words. We want them to be able to see them, read them quickly so that they can move on. And what that does is when they're able to read these words quickly, it really frees up their brains to be able to do that hard problem solving when they come to those words that they have to decode or that they have to break down the individual sounds so that they don't have to, worry too much about these sight words. And ideally, it would be good for them to not only be able to read them quickly, but also be able to write them quickly so that it just becomes kind of part of muscle memory, not even really thinking about it, and, can just write them quickly. And so I'm going to talk about some ways that you can help your child with some of these sight words and some of them that, some ways that might be a little bit fun for them as well. And so in Worthington schools, we have sight word lists 1 through 12. And so the expectation is by the end of first grade that they would be able to read and then hopefully be able to write and spell all the sight words lists 1 through 12 correctly, okay? And I have attached all those lists. I put it into a Google slide form. And I even created a little video to show you, or I didn't create the video, there's a video on there of how to randomize those slides so that they're not in the same order every time that you use them like flashcards. And feel free to print those out or use them however you want at home, okay? So I'll just tell you kind of the more boring ways that I do it in classroom, because a lot of times we have to do them very quickly. There's a lot of things I have to get through in the 30 minutes that I have your child in the classroom. So simply, I just use the flashcards. This is kind of the old school way of doing it, and it really works pretty well. And you just kind of go through the flashcard and have them read it. Done, pretty, use, okay? And if they get stuck, you can, of course, just give them the word, okay? And then hopefully the next day, then, they would start to learn those words over time, okay? And the idea is that, these are something that you could even practice, for just a few minutes each day. It doesn't take very long to do these. And then with, as far as the spelling goes, so I love to use the whiteboards, markers, and erasers. So they would, first of all, they would say the word, the, they would write it, and then they would say it out loud, the. Then they would erase it. Write it again, the, okay? And they would repeat that like 4 or 5 times. If I'm trying to teach a student how to spell a sight word, so let's say I'm using the word pull. Okay, so I'll put it up there and I'll say, okay, get a good look at that word. Look all the way across, okay? Okay, and I'll say, okay, what letter do you think is missing? And they'll hopefully say U. If not, you'll just give it to them. And then you'll just kind of repeat that. Okay, what letter's missing now? Okay, all right, now you try it. And then I will have them try to spell it after I do that a few times. So that's kind of the way I practice with whiteboards. And then I also attached a way that you can keep track of, your child as far as what words they're learning, how to spell, and just be able to keep track of them that way. So there's a list in there as well to keep track of them. So, all right, so let's talk about some fun ways that you can work. And some of these will vary depending on your child's age. A third grader is not going to find the same things as fun as a kindergartner. Anyway, so a few of these things I'll just show you real quick, and hopefully your child likes them. So one of them is rainbow writing. And so they're just taking different colors. You can see I got red and green, and they're just going over the same word with a different color. And just a fun way to, practice the words. And then, of course, they should always say the word. They can even spell it as they're writing it. T that, okay? And I talked about using the flashcards and the whiteboards, and then a doodle board. If you have something, this is called a boogie board. Just another fun way that they can practice writing these trick words or these sight words. Sometimes they have the magnetic boards that you've seen. You can buy these really cheap, so they could just practice writing them. And this one actually just has a little button that makes it disappear. So that's kind of fun and cool. That's called a boogie board. Shaving cream. If you have shaving cream at home, find a nice surface that they can use it on and just use their finger to just write in the words in shaving cream on a table or a tray or something. Another thing is a sand tray. So you can purchase sand online or, at a local store, and then just use a baking sheet, put the sand on the baking sheet, and they can just use their fingertip and write the sight words in that way. Just another fun way to do it. Play-Doh. They can roll up the Play-Doh and form the different letters to make sight words. Kindergartners in particular kind of like that. Kinetic finger writing. So they can write the words, through the air. I think we call it air writing. So T-H-E, or they could do it on the table. Okay, write the word the. They would just write it with their finger. It's just another good way to get this into their memory. Tic-Tac-Toe. So the way you could do a tic-tac-toe game is, you could be one sight word. So like normally you use X's and O's. So let's say instead of an X, you use the word the. And instead of the O, your child uses the word and you just play the tic-tac-toe game that way. And you can switch up the sight words on those too, okay? Bingo. You can make your own. You can even use the Excel spreadsheet. It might be a little bit hard to see, but you just make your own bingo card with several different sight words, and then just use your pile of flashcards and then just, call them out that way and play bingo with your child. There's also a website, bingobaker.com, if you can see that. Bingobaker.com already has some sight word bingo boards already made, or they even have templates where you can make your own and just type in the sight words in there. So that's bingobaker.com. Okay, and then another game is My Pile, Your Pile. So as you're doing the flashcards with your child, okay, what I do is, because we want them to be able to read these words quickly. So if they either say the word incorrectly or it takes them more than 3 seconds, then it goes into my pile, okay? If they can do it under 3 seconds and do it correctly, it goes into their pile. And over time, they'll start to see that, their pile is getting bigger and bigger and your pile isn't. And they start to feel a little bit more confident with that. So that's called My Pile, Your Pile race game. Go fish, okay? Just have pairs of your sight words, okay? And so I'd have two words that say the word you, or 2 cards that say the word use, 2 that say sure, and you would do like 20 or so pairs and play the game Go Fish. If you're not sure how to play the game Go Fish, just look it up online. It's a fun game. Kids really like that. Fishing for sight words. So this is a fun one. You just find a magnet that you got on your fridge or sitting around the house, tie a string or rope to it, and use a pole or like a stick or a pencil of some sort to tie the other end of the string. And then basically you just use your flashcards, put a paper clip on the end, okay? And then they just go fishing for words. So I'll just show you real quick how this would look. Okay, so you might have them laid out on your floor. You could even have them in the shape of a fish, which is fun. And then you would just call out a word like talk, and then they would go fishing. Let's try again. Just doesn't. You got to get a powerful magnet for it to stick. So there we go. All right. So that's a fishing game that they can do. All right. And then, of course, Pinterest has lots of different ideas. You just put sight word fun activities in Pinterest and find some fun games. So hopefully, you found that useful. But yeah, try to work on those sight words a little bit every day. And if you have any questions, would love to hear them. Okay, take care.